Hey guys, Paul Lynn here talking to you about some PLC today. And when you're first getting started and you're about to set off learning PLC, you don't really know what to expect. And some of you think, man, PLC is probably something that's only going to take me a couple of days to a week or so to pick up. And not really, okay? It's probably going to take you longer than that, but it also depends on how far you want to go. If you just have one cheap little programmable relay that you bought at the store and you say, man, I've got a greenhouse and I really just want this thing to automate that, what do I really need to learn? I don't need to become a PLC god to get this job done, right? Well, good news for you. It's probably only going to take you 2 or 3 days to learn what you need to do, some basic digital control logic, and this thing's done and installed. You walk away, forget about it, and you say, man, I never want to know anything else about PLC for the rest of my life. Hey, for you, that's cool. You're all set. In fact, don't watch the rest of this video because this doesn't concern you. This video is for those career PLC folks that say, nah, guy, I'm going to be in automation until the cows come home. I need to learn this stuff inside and out. Or at least you want to be able to do this on the job as maybe not your primary responsibility and role in some company, but at least you want this as a tool in your toolbox, okay? So if that's you or you want anything more than that, this video is for you. I'm talking to you right now, okay? So here's the deal. You've gone to PLCDojo.com. You've realized, oh man, this is the best place in the universe to learn PLC programming. I'm going to save a ton of money and I'm going to learn it and learn it right. I'm going to learn it where 80,000 other people have learned how to program PLCs already. You're in the right spot. Cool. And then you looked at my courses and you said, holy hell, guy, you've got 5 levels of PLC courses? Ugh, that's a lot of course, man. Do I need 5 levels of PLC? And this video, I'm going to straighten that out for you. And I'm going to tell you exactly how far you personally need to go. All right? So there's 5 levels. And one of the things that people start off with is they have this question. They look and they say, in level 1, you're using this technology. In level 5, you're using a different technology. Me, I really want to focus on a certain technology and it's not the one you're using in this level or that level. Is this course for me? Because I don't want to be an Allen Bradley programmer. I want to be a Siemens programmer. Therefore, I should not learn Allen Bradley. Makes perfect sense, right? But here's the thing. When you're talking about PLCs, it doesn't really matter what brand you learn on versus what brand you end up making money on, because to tell a family secret, they all use the same 5 programming languages anyway. So if you know how to program one brand of PLC, you know how to program all the brands of PLC, okay? And also, do you really want to be a one-trick pony? Is that really your goal? Are you such a fanboy of this brand or that brand that you're like the little kids in the mall with cell phones? It's like, oh, I'm an Apple guy. I only carry Apple phones. Everything I own has an Apple on it. You know, okay, if you want to be like that and walk around wearing like t-shirts that have your favorite brand of PLC on them, hey, be a fanboy. Me, I'm a fanboy of dollars. I like money. And I want to be able to program everything under the sun, because when there's money on the table, I want to be able to walk over there and get it and not walk over there and look and say, excuse me, is this Alan Bradley money or is this Tia Portal money? Because I only like Automation Direct money. I like all kinds of money. But no, really, seriously, it doesn't matter if you're learning Alan Bradley, but you plan on doing Siemens, or if you're learning Siemens, but you plan on doing FANUC or something else. They all use the same languages. Just learn the languages. Don't focus so much on the brands, okay? This isn't like PLC Fashion Week or something. You can be a little bit brand agnostic and just focus on the skills, all right? So let's get that out of the way. Now, here we are, we're talking about 5 levels of my PLC courses. What do you need? What do you don't need? Level 1. Do you belong in level 1? Do you need this course? All right, maybe you do, maybe you don't. Maybe you've already got some skills. So I'm going to tell you what's in level 1. You tell me whether or not you need it or whether you are better off starting at a higher level. Because the last thing you or I want is for you to be wasting your time in a course that is beneath you. Fair? Level 1 is going to be focusing on ladder logic in the RS Logix 500 environment. The environment is irrelevant. What is relevant is if you don't already know ladder logic, you need to be here for sure, because I'm not going to be teaching ladder logic in levels 2, 3, 4, or 5. I'm going to teach ladder logic in level 1, and ladder logic is the most dominant programming language in the world for PLCs. No matter what you've heard about, no, structured text is going to take over, and everybody where I work uses function blocks. Irrelevant. In the world, most of what you're going to see is ladder logic. Fact of the matter is, entire families of PLCs only run ladder logic. They don't run function blocks. They don't run structured text. They don't run anything but ladder diagrams. All right? So whether you think they're cool or you've heard that they're the most optimal PLC language is irrelevant. What matters is in PLC, you need to learn ladder logic. And it's an excellent place to start learning how the logic works. Okay? So, level 1, we're going to focus and start the most logical place, ladder diagrams. And aside from learning that language in that environment, which is kind of irrelevant, what gets to be much more important is you're going to be learning the fundamental circuits that are used in all of your brands of PLC, in all of your PLC programming languages, for every PLC job you will ever do in your life. So you're going to be learning those different circuits like digital control logic. Do you know how to control a binary, something that's either on or off? Do you know how to control that using a trigger, a hold-in, and an interrupt? If you do, awesome. That's the most important circuit you're ever going to use programming a PLC. If you don't already know that, I can tell you right away, already, just based on that, you need to start with my level 1 course. If you don't know that, that means the rest of this stuff, forget it. You're going to get a lot out of level 1, and that's going to be foundational in all of your other learning. If you don't learn the basics right, if you don't learn that early stuff right, you can keep going as far as you want, but you're going to be building on a bad, unsound foundation, which means no matter how advanced you get, your programming is probably going to be problematic. You're going to struggle in this field. So this is where you get those basics. Digital control logic. Do you know how to scale analogs? Do you know what analog scaling even is? Taking some random range of numbers coming in from an input signal and translating that into a useful range of values that correlate to something that a human operator understands. If all of that sounds a little vague to you and you're not even sure about what some of the words are that are coming out of my mouth, don't worry. I'm not here trying to teach you those things today. I'm just trying to tell you that that is something you will have a strong comprehension of by the time you walk out of my level 1 course. Do you know how to program an alarm? Do you know that you need 2 bits for a good alarm? One that interrupts processes and inhibits devices for their own protection, and then another one that's used for notification and data logging and alerting the operators. Do you know how to control those bits with an alarm silence and an alarm reset? Do you know what the difference is between an alarm silence and an alarm reset? That's my level 1 course. These are not things I teach in levels 2, 3, 4, or 5. Do you know how to program HOAs, handoff and auto controls for output devices? Do you know best practices when you're programming all of these different circuits and creating these big projects? Do you know how to use timers and counters, things like that, the different instructions like comparators, mathematical operators, moving and copying information and data from one place in a program to another? I won't keep going on with all of the other stuff that's in level 1. There is a lot more in level 1, but this is just a flavor of what's in there. And if pretty much 2 or 3 of these things are already sounding like, well, I'm not so sure, I think I basically, if you can't talk to these things and if you can't explain these to somebody else with confidence, I assure you, you need to start in my level 1 course. Even if you've already been doing some PLC work for the last couple of years, don't let this faze you. Don't take this as an insult or a judgment on what you've accomplished. If you've already been getting the job done, that's incredible. That's great, especially if you haven't had all of this stuff, right? So kudos to you. But regardless, better sooner than later. Go back to the beginning, get a strong foundation. It's going to make your life easier almost immediately, okay? So do yourself a favor. Even if you're skimming through and watching all the videos at double speed, you probably want my level 1 course. Okay, enough of level 1. Moving on to my level 2 course. Do you need level 2? Level 2 is designed for people who already know all the stuff in level 1, obviously. You already know all of those circuits. You already know the best practices. You already understand how all of the different instructions, the common instructions in PLC programming work. You already know how ladder logic flows from left to right, top to bottom. You've already got all that. Where level 2 is going to put you is, now that you've got all of that up here, I'm going to force you to solve problems that you've probably never seen before, that nobody has taught you how to solve before. I'm going to describe the problem in level 2, and I'm going to say, solve it. It's all you. And I'm not going to hold your hand. If you message me and say, Paul, help, I'm stuck in level 2. I'm going to say, brother or sister, if you're stuck in level 1, I'm here for you. If you're stuck in level 3, I'm going to come running as fast as I can to help. Level 4, level 5, when you need me, just look in the mirror and say my name 3 times and I will appear right behind you, okay? It's awesome. But in level 2, I'm going to ghost you. If you send me a message, of course I'm going to respond to you because I love you, right? But I'm not going to help you through the projects in level 2. Why wouldn't I do that? What kind of a mean-spirited, dickish person am I, right? Level 2 is sink or swim. The goal of level 2 is, I'm throwing you out there, I'm giving you the problem, and I'm going to say, solve it. I don't care what you do. I don't care how you do it. I don't care what Google searches you run. I don't care if you use AI to feed you the answers. I don't care what you do. But this is like the real world, right? I'm preparing you to be on the job and have no one else to turn to. There's not a bigger, stronger, badder ass or PLC programmer there that's waiting for you to come and tug on his shirt and say, hey, can you help me? I'm stuck. There's nobody. So you're going to have to struggle. You're going to have to research. You're going to have to do some trial and error. But in the end, you're going to do one project after another, all by yourself, unassisted, and there are test criteria provided for each project. You're going to have to satisfy all of those test criteria. By the end, what have you done? Now, all of that theory that you got in level 1, now it's a practical technology. Now, it's not just, I understand how a timer works. No, now it's, I know how to use a timer to solve a problem and control time and regulate a process. Ooh, now you're dangerous. Now you can get paid. You see the difference? So it's taking all of that theory and turning it into something applied, and also preparing you for the realities of the job. I want you to struggle and suffer and have a hard time and curse and kick the wall. I want you to do that in my course, not on the job. Not when someone's watching you, not when somebody's paying you, not when somebody's waiting on you to finish a project because they've got a deadline and you're sitting at your desk trying to figure out what the hell's going on because at this point you still don't know your ass from a hole in the ground. You see my point? I want you to get that struggle out of the way now so that by the end of level 2, you walk out and now you feel like a PLC programmer. You're not just studying PLC programming. That's where you are in level 1. You walk out of level 2, you feel like a PLC programmer. You know that if someone sits you down at a desk and says, solve this problem, you can think, you know how to approach it, you know how to use your instructions, you can create a program that works, you know how to simulate that program and test it because you've done it over and over and over again. That's level 2. That's a big old step up. Level 3, we're going to get out of the PLC and we're going to step into the HMI. PLC and HMI programming, and I'm throwing SCADA in there with HMI because we also do SCADA in level 3. But if you know PLC but not HMI, or if you know HMI and not PLC, I mean, is there work for you? Yes. Can you get some money? Yes. But that's like you're in a race with the rest of us and you've either got your hands tied behind your back or your feet tied behind your back. Either way, you're going to have a real hard time keeping up and being competitive. Fact of the matter, you're just not going to make as much money as the rest of us, and you're going to be qualified for about 1/10 as many jobs if you don't know both PLC and HMI. So while you're embarking on this journey and you're like, PLC, I got to learn PLC, I hate to break it to you, but there's this other thing called HMI. And if you don't know how to create those screens that the operator uses to interface with the PLC, you might as well not know how to program PLC, because 95% of the PLC projects out there have an HMI attached to them, communicating with them, and it is expected in almost every company that develops these systems that the guy who does the PLC is the same guy who's going to do the HMI. All right? So we're going to learn in level 3, we're going to go through several different HMI and SCADA packages and build complete projects in each one of those different technologies, okay? That's like level 2 is very hands-on, level 3 is completely hands-on. One of the biggest reasons you want level 3 is because by the end of it, you have multiple HMIs that you've built on your own system that you can walk into a job interview and say, oh, let me show you. Here's this complete PLC program running, which I furnish and I supply for level 3. But you have built all of these different HMIs, and you can walk them through and show them all of these different HMIs that you built 100%. It's not like I'm telling you where to put this and how to do it and do it my way and, giving you a starter project no, you're building it all from scratch. So by the end of this level, you walk into the job interview and you've got multiple projects in multiple different technologies to show off. So you say, hey, I don't have any experience on the job. I'm looking for my first job. Oh, but let me show you what I've done. And you're able to show them more than a lot of experienced PLC programmers even have on their laptops. So this puts you in a really good position to not just show up begging for a job and please take a chance on me, but walk in and show up and show off and say, I've done some stuff. Look at it, interact with it. Let me explain it to you. Let me walk you through all of this stuff. This is what I can be doing at your company on this job at this desk from day one. Now, of course, I can learn to do things your way and I can change some of this, however you like it. But I'm just showing you what I'm bringing to the table right here and now. That's impactful. That gets jobs, people. That gets jobs. Level 4, do you need it? Eventually, yes, you're going to need level 4. Level 4 has 2 big things going for it. One, up to this point, all of your PLC work has been in ladder logic in the RS Logix 500 environment. Nothing wrong with that because you got to a point where now you know all about PLC programming, you know all those circuits, you know those best practices, you've been doing it hands-on, and you've even been incorporating HMIs with it. That's pretty awesome. Now, remember those other PLC programming languages? Right. Now we're going to pick up all of the rest of the PLC programming languages in one course. So you remember in the beginning you were like, oh man, structured text, oh, instruction lists, oh, I want to know all about, graph programming. And good news, it's your time to shine, baby. It's your moment of glory. Here's where you're going to get all the rest of those languages. And just like in level 3, remember how it was very hands-on and it was multiple different technologies? Well, guess what I've got in store for you in level 4? You're going to be using multiple different languages. You're going to be creating complete solutions. And even better, you're going to be doing it across multiple different environments of PLC programming. So it's not just 500 anymore. Now it's 5000 and CCW and ABB, and you're just going to get to work a lot of these different systems all at once while you're learning all of these different languages all at once. And at this point, you're thinking, damn, dude, that sounds like a hell of a lot for one course, right? But remember the 2 things I told you before. Once you learn ladder logic, all the rest of them are very easy to pick up because you've already learned the fundamentals, the circuits, the instructions. Spitting them out in different paradigms really isn't that complicated. And also, remember something else I told you. I remember I was all like, oh, don't worry about where you learn this stuff because if you learn how to program one PLC, you know how to program all the PLCs, right? Now you're going to get to see that firsthand because you're going to be jumping from one environment to the next, and you are going to get to see firsthand how different and how complicated it really is to go from one to the other to the other. You're going to do it all by yourself. And again, this is building up more stuff for that portfolio. When you walk in looking for that job, you've got more stuff to show off. Hey, Yes, I can program PLCs. Also, I can program all these different brands of PLCs. Also, I can do it in all these different languages. Also, I've already done HMIs. Also, here it all is right in front of you. Let's walk through it. Let's talk about it. Give me something right now and I'll program it for you. Sure, this might be my first job, but you see where I'm at. You've talked to some other people that had 2 or 3 years on the job. Do they have more talent than me? I don't think so. So how much you gonna pay me, right? That's level 4. Level 5 is going to sound a little bit similar to level 4 because, hey, we're going to be doing work in all of the different programming languages, right? So you're thinking, oh, well, if I'm doing 5, I don't need 4. That might be true in your case. If you don't want the exposure you get in 4 to all of those different environments, if you're like, no, I just want to get to Siemens as fast as possible, you can skip 4. You won't have all that experience in those other environments. You won't have all those different projects to show people. But if you're just trying to get to level 5 as quickly as you can, skip 4, okay? Level 5, you're also going to learn all of those other programming languages, but now this whole course is going to be done in Siemens TIA Portal. And this is a very unique course. I call this the master project because you talk about portfolio pieces. This is a 30-something hour course that's going to have you doing about 100 hours or so worth of hands-on work to get through it. And what this involves is we're going to be in the TIA Portal environment, and check this out. You are going to program an entire system. I've provided one little module full of logic, which basically just simulates your inputs coming into the system. So that way, when you program it, it's like you're programming a system that's operating in the real world. You're doing all of the actual project, 100%. I'm just applying a little module to do some simulation. It's simulating a real world environment where the inputs change based on the system actually running, the outputs that are happening, environmental conditions changing, things like that. So don't mind that. You are doing the whole project, but check this out. You're going to program this entire hydroelectric power plant. Doesn't that sound like a lot? But you're going to do it over and over again in every single language, every single PLC programming language there is. But here's what makes it awesome. 2 things. One, you're also going to create the full HMI for this, and it's all going to be done in one environment in TIA Portal. All right? You're going to have that whole project. You're going to be able to simulate this whole thing running from end to end. Talk about a portfolio piece. That right there, I'm sorry, that makes panties drop. That blows skirts up. That gets jobs. All right? That's an impressive project. Especially when you look at the second reason this is so awesome. Remember I said you were going to do this in all the different programming languages? Those are not going to be independent, separate projects. They're all going to be in the same PLC program. And you're going to have on your HMI a place where you can switch which language is actually running this entire power plant. So when you hit the button for ladder logic and then you look through your program, this whole thing is going to be running on ladder logic. And then when you go back and hit function blocks, you're not going to see any interruption in the system. It's going to keep running just as smooth as ever. The only difference is now when you look into your project while it's online and running, you're going to see that now the whole thing is going to be run by function blocks, and the ladder logic is just going to be sitting there dead, idle, not doing anything. All right? That, when you talk about getting a job, I'm sorry, you walk in and show somebody that project that you created, that you understand inside and out, and the whole thing's working. You put the laptop in front of your interviewer and say, here, go ahead, interact with it, try it out, start the system up, stop it, reconfigure it, have fun. And if you have any questions about how it works or why it works the way that it does, or if you want to go through some of the logic with me so you understand my approach and my practices, by all means, it's all right here for you. Knock yourself out. I tell you what, now you're going to get paid. Now you're bringing something to the table. Walking into that interview with a resume saying, this is what I'm telling you I know, and maybe I do, maybe I don't. That's one thing. But when you can put all that proof right in front of them, and you know it all like the back of your hand, and you can walk them through it, and when they ask questions, you can answer and explain everything. You can explain all of the circuits, the instructions, the rhyme and reasoning behind your logic, how everything flips from one language to the other. It's entirely possible. Whoever is there interviewing you is probably going to learn something from you while they're evaluating your skills, all right? This is an impressive damn project to walk in and show off at a job interview. You want to get into PLC programming as a career and you're scared you won't be able to get a job? When you've got this on your laptop and it's running and you walk in and show them that, you tell me what your chances are of getting a job and getting paid right for it, okay? So that's it. That's my 5 levels of PLC programming. You know what's in each one of them now, so you're better equipped to figure out where you should jump in, which levels you need, which levels you might not need based on your previous experience. And hopefully this is going to get you off on the right foot so that you take the shortest path possible, the most efficient path from where you are today to where you're trying to be in PLC. Maybe you don't need all of this knowledge. Maybe you need all of this and more. And in either case, PLCdojo.com is the place to get it. That's the place where I am going to be teaching you how to program PLCs. And there's a couple of other badass top-of-the-line instructors on there teaching with me that can teach you everything from different networking protocols, in industrial communications protocols, IIoT, Industry 4.0, I mean factory talk, factory view, everything. We've got it on PLCdojo.com. So my 5 levels are there. Now that you know where to jump in, you are all set. Nothing to wait for. Jump in and get started today. Today is the day of salvation. You know what I'm saying? You start getting on your way to that new career and those big dollars. Hey, that's what I got for you today. If you like what I'm doing, subscribe, because I'm going to keep doing it. You're probably going to keep wanting it. If I'm putting money in your pocket every time you come back, why wouldn't you want more of that, right? Subscribe so you don't miss any of it. Thank you so much for watching. If you click the like button on your way out of here, it won't hurt my feelings one little bit. I promise. I've never been offended by anybody liking one of my videos. Thanks again. Take care, and I will see you soon.